Financial comparison website Finder publishing a global survey on crypto adoption around the world. Joining us now to discuss their latest findings is Fred Shabesta, CEO and co-founder of financial comparison website Finder. Hey there, Fred. All right, so tell me a bit about this survey. How is it conducted, and what are some of the key highlights?
Yeah, so this is one of the very first global, cryptocurrency adoption surveys. We actually surveyed 41,645 people around the world. It's a very rigorous study. It's the biggest one Finder's ever done, and obviously we're a global comparison site, but it took us a long time to do this, so we're pretty excited about what we've done. And then there's some pretty revealing results in terms of some of the ownership and some of the different percentages all around the world, and the different coins as well as to what people are interested in by country.
So, Fred, how are the people actually selected? How did you go about getting all the people to respond, and what kind of controls were put in place so that the people who did answer weren't self-selecting, but were reflective of the general population that you're surveying?
Yeah, so we essentially used a global survey company for this one. Normally, we've done a lot of surveys, probably hundreds of them through Finder, and this one took we spent a lot of money on this one. I just put it that way, and it's been essentially diversified, split between male and female investors. It's also done by country. Because obviously we're globally surveying all the different countries as well. There's 22 different countries actually involved with this one, and it was done in September.
So specifically, though, these are people who are categorized as investors. In other words, people who have investors in what? Are they equity investors or crypto? Like what exactly are they? I mean, if you go to any given country, even the United States, you have a large portion of the population that isn't invested in anything other than, and not even they're not even putting money away for retirement. So how are you selecting this population? What exactly is it specifically that these are investors?
Oh no, so it's not. These are not investors. I'd say the more the everyday American. It's not just investors. These are just the everyday person. So it's trying to say, like, how adopted is cryptocurrency around the world for the everyday person in that country?
So I believe the other cryptocurrency adoption survey out, or it's not actually a survey, rather it's a report, is by Chainalysis, correct? And they, I believe that they put Vietnam as number one, at least in one of their recent surveys. I'm just curious if you're aware of this, and it doesn't look like Vietnam's even on your list. How is there such a big divide?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously Vietnam's probably, this analysis wasn't done with Vietnam, but Nigeria has a population of, which is at the top of our list, is it's like over 200 million people, and it's a massive country, and it's massively into cryptocurrency. What we've seen, and we also see that on our website as well, on Finder.com, with all the comparisons of the different cryptocurrency exchanges. I think it's more interesting to look at the different coins. So actually, in America, like Dogecoin is pretty much as adopted as Ethereum is. And I think that's very interesting in and of itself. Maybe, that sort of, popularization of coins and things like that, I think is really interesting. I think it's also interesting if you break down the different coins by country. So, Japan's very big into Bitcoin, and so is South Africa and Singapore. Whereas, if you come down to, say, Cardano, Australia, Ireland, and Russia are the top countries, and that's really unusual. I would have thought Binance Coin is very interesting as well because it's actually quite popular in Indonesia, and then Mexico being the second most popular, I think, is very interesting, and then Russia again. It kind of has that, I guess that it's an unusual exchange in terms of it appeals to certain people, but I think this sort of talks to that in some way. And then Dogecoin is the most popular in America. So Americans love Dogecoin.
Just quickly, I just want to clarify on the international point, though. So Vietnam was not actually surveyed, so that's why it's not on the list, not because cryptocurrency adoption isn't high. And I was wondering, did you look at, like, for example, mainland China at all, or is that because just to understand where some of these big players fit in, so they're just not actually in the survey?
No, cryptocurrency, is not exactly. It's pretty difficult to operate in China. So I think the results may not be, if you're asking someone if they have cryptocurrency, I don't know if that might produce the best survey result.
So Fred, one of the charts that you have in your study, and if we can call it up, it looks at Bitcoin relative to or Bitcoin ownership, the percentage of total ownership. And I noticed that in the U.S., your data shows that about only half of the people who own crypto own Bitcoin. So you're saying that half of all people who own crypto in the United States don't own Bitcoin. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So how is that?
We can't wrap our heads around that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like usually, isn't that usually a higher number? I mean, you're saying that people just jump right into Doge and they've never heard of this Bitcoin thing, whatever, that they.
I think people. So this is people in America seem to love Dogecoin. It seems that's and I think then there's the Shiba Inu that was not on the list in this case, but it's a very popular coin in America.
But that's part of I guess that goes back to the question of how are you surveying this? Because if you just look at the data in terms of the actual raw market data, it wouldn't suggest that Doge has significantly outpaced Bitcoin, in any capacity. So are your survey is your survey population biased or?
This doesn't necessarily indicate the size of ownership. It's just whether or not they do own the particular coin. If you look at the S1 filing of Robinhood recently, Dogecoin again was the most popular, and it's a massive driver of their revenue. It doesn't necessarily say that the size of ownership, the actual dollar amount, that's a different equation. This is really about the popularity, that particular graph, not necessarily the percentage ownership in terms of dollar value.